when we just, feed your body what it's meant to be fed, we'll let it do what it's meant to do, it absolutely can stay in control of your health. These mechanisms, so we can talk about it, is what a lot of these breakthrough drugs are tapping into, just in very concentrated ways. So you're hearing a lot about the Ozempics and the Wegovy's, and they're based on this hormone called GLP-1, etc. Guess what? That hormone is what your body naturally produces. And guess where it's produced? It's produced in your gut.
If you follow me on Instagram, it's no secret that I want to be great, especially with how I approach my physique. And in the pursuit of greatness, there are no shortcuts. It's a journey fueled by passion, commitment, and consistently doing the things that inch you closer to your goals. As you know by now, building muscle is more than just lifting weights. It's about nourishing your body with the right fuel to optimize your performance and achieve your results. One part of nourishing your body is so you can fuel muscle growth, and another part is so you can recover well and feel good enough throughout the rest of your day. Mindset happens to play an important role as well, and so much of your mindset starts in your gut. And that's why Supergut has become such an important part of my fitness journey. Supergut has shakes that add 20 grams of prebiotic fiber to your diet, bars that add 10 grams of prebiotic fiber to your diet, and fiber mix that adds 8 grams of prebiotic fiber to your diet. This specific type of fiber is important because it feeds the good bacteria in your gut and improves your overall gut health. This is critical for those of us chasing physique goals because our effort in the gym oftentimes boils down to whether or not we feel like going. When I'm feeling gut discomfort or I'm in a bad mood, my workouts suck. Supergut keeps my gut health in check, which keeps my workouts on point. More importantly, I have a ravenous sweet tooth. With Supergut fiber bars, I can indulge that craving guilt-free without sending myself down a death spiral of sugar consumption. They satisfy my sweet tooth and keep me on track, so I never compromise my hard-earned progress. On this episode of the Culture of Health podcast, I'm honored to talk to Marc Washington. He's the CEO of Supergut, and in this episode, we get into all the reasons why prebiotic fiber should be a staple in our diet. If you're not into physique goals like I am, this podcast will leave no stone unturned in demonstrating why you still need Supergut products in your life. Head over to supergut.com right now and grab a few of their products to see for yourself. Everything in this episode will be validated with your personal experience after you give their products a try. Again, that's supergut.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning into yet another episode of the Culture of Health podcast. Today, I have a treat for you guys, someone that I personally look up to, especially when it comes to balancing entrepreneurship and family, which is really tough if you guys don't have kids or a business. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Marc Washington. He is the CEO of Supergut, formerly known as Munich, if you haven't caught the brand change yet. But he is a Harvard and Princeton educated man on a mission to heal the world one gut at a time. And this is not just with his current company. He has held prominent positions at other very popular wellness brands, including Beachbody and several others, executive roles at these companies. So he's well versed in what it takes to run a company, as well as what it takes to spark transformation. Perhaps one of my favorite things about him is the fact that he has a very unique passion about serving Black and Brown communities, and he's not shy about including that in the messaging for Supergut or his personal mission. So, guys, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is Marc Washington. Again, thank you so much for joining me, man. This is
my pleasure. I've been looking forward to it, Austin. Let's get at it, man.
Good. All right, well, let's tell you what. I'm going to throw you in. I'm just going to get started with some rapid fire.
All right.
This is a little bit different. So I'm going to give you about 8 different words, and I want you to tell me whether or not it's overrated or underrated.
Okay. All right. Put me right on the spot. Okay. Not even no calisthenics. We just jumping straight into the high intensity. Okay. All right. Let's go.
No warm up. All right. So the first word, entrepreneurship, overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Overrated. We might have to dive into that one. Counting calories.
Overrated.
Living in Los Angeles.
Underrated.
Underrated. We have to dive into that one too. Exercise.
Underrated.
It's underrated. College sports.
Underrated. By far.
Yeah, sleep.
Underrated.
Okay. Having kids.
Underrated? That was easy. Yes.
Okay.
That's
It
easy.
is easy. And then last but not least, fiber.
Way unbelievably, tragically underrated.
Tragically underrated. I agree with that.
Literally
So,
tragically underrated. Yes.
yeah. So we're gonna dive into that a little bit more, but I want to talk about your mindset. I think one of the things that I'm most fascinated about, and maybe other people may find fascinating too, is that probably throughout your tenure as a professional and collegiate, you have always held yourself to the highest standard. Obviously, graduating from Princeton Business School, Harvard Business School, serving in the C-suite of some billion-dollar organizations. I'm curious, like, what's your mindset when you set a goal and you create a plan to attack it? Because you continue to rise to like the cream of the crop in your industry. What is it? What do you think it is that differentiates you from just maybe the average person or just in general? What makes you continue to hit the upper echelon of what you're doing?
Yeah, I guess I appreciate it. I guess the way that I'll describe it is the drive, right? That I do have. There's something. I guess one way to look at it is I'm a competitive person. I don't like to lose. I love to win. I love to compete, and I love to win. And that was kind of since I was a little kid, and it was almost regardless of what I was doing, right? Whether it was in class, like solving a math problem, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna solve this first, racing a friend, winning in sports, kind of what have you. It's always been, I don't know, just this inner drive. And in many ways, I feel like, I was blessed, right, with ability to, figure things out, to solve things. And I just have this mindset of, to whom much is given, much is expected in return. And so there's this aspect of me, I was like, well, I didn't want to, if you're given gifts, you need to take advantage of them. You need to work hard and you need to aspire to do big things, right, in the world. And so it's always been this thing, I would say, this inner drive. It's obviously been complemented by my parents, by my family, by my surroundings, things that have definitely contributed to that over time. But it's just always been this inner drive, right, of just, if you're going to do something, if it's worthwhile doing, it's worthwhile doing to the best of your ability. So when you combine that with that sort of competitive spirit, that has been something that's been driving me from the very outset. And so I've always, strive to achieve and excel and never be complacent with just okay. And I think that that's carried with me, both from, adolescence all the way through, my professional career today.
Yeah, that's good. So that inner drive, I think that's something that has to be cultivated over an extended period of time. And I'm a big stickler for your health playing a very strong role in how easy it is for someone to mine for those gifts. How big of a role do you think your health plays in your ability to continue to tap into that competitive nature that you have?
Oh, yeah.
And to like get up every day with that
It's
drive?
massive. It's massive. It's both kind of my personal passion. It's what gets me going. Frankly, it's not just physically, as you know, right? When you are feeling good, right? And that's physically, that absolutely translates into your mental health and to your performance as well, like your performance on the job, your ability to focus, to execute. And it's all tied together. And for me, I've been fortunate to combine that personal passion, right, of physical fitness and wellness with my professional career, right, as well. And so I'm able to carry that through. Like you see me, I'm glowing a little bit. I had my workout in this morning. But now I get to turn on a computer and get on things and helping other people live healthier. And so it's kind of one of those things that just pervades my essence, my being. Like I'm all about that life of trying to live my healthiest life personally, but now translating that into my professional career as well. It's kind of my North Star is by helping other people tap into that kind of the best version of themselves. And obviously I do it a lot with Supergut through nutrition. But yeah, it just really it pervades my psyche, my well-being, and I try to help other people tap into that as well.
Have you always been that way, specifically like about your nutrition and
Yeah,
well-being?
I say I have. Like literally, like people ask me this question, and I literally go back to childhood, and I can just remember, not just myself, but I was the annoying little kid to mom and dad whenever they would try the latest diet or whenever they would get the latest exercise equipment or what have you. I'd be like, Mom, you just got this exercise bike. Why is the clothes hanging all over it? You should take the clothes down, get in that workout. I'm like, boy, shut up. You're 5, right? So, yeah, I don't know. There's just always been that drive of like living healthier and trying to do things to your best ability. Like the physical aspect of it was always important to me, right? From both nutrition, from athletics. I will say, though, growing up, I'd say not until after college did I really get educated on what real nutrition means. Like I was, the skinny kid, I was just trying to eat anything and everything that helped me put on weight, right? And so it wasn't really understanding the macros and the protein and the fiber, et cetera. I was working out. I was so active that my metabolism was through the roof. And I just could not put on weight. So I can't say that I was fully informed and on top of my nutrition game until, later on in life where that metabolism slows down, right? And you got to be a lot more smarter about it. And then obviously when I got into it from a professional career as well, got really deep into the science of health and wellness and nutrition to really, up my personal nutrition game. And again, helping other people do the same.
Yeah. So was it your passion for health and wellness that kind of drove you towards the profession that you're in right now? Because you've held a CEO, you were CEO of Roll Global,
so I was
right?
the CFO of a company.
CFO,
yeah, and the company
Roll
now
Global.
goes by the Wonderful Company. So it's
Okay.
about a $6 billion healthy food and beverage business. So Fiji water, Palm Wonderful, the big and almonds, pistachios, like lots of healthy foods and beverages that you would be consuming. So I was there, did a bunch of things for them over the time, but I ended up as their chief financial officer. And then I went over to Beachbody as their president and chief operating officer. So joining their entrepreneurs to help scale that business. And that was both a combination of both fitness and nutrition and supplements and shakes and so forth. But yeah, back to your question, it is what drove me. Like I didn't know that this was my pathway. And it really was, I knew I loved business, right? And so when I graduated from Princeton, I went to a consulting firm called McKinsey & Company. I went to back to business school at Harvard. And this consulting environment, I knew I loved to solve business problems. Then I, really honed in on problems that I could relate to, like consumer products. And that's really when I went to the Wonderful Company that it all came together. You could solve problems for consumer products. And when you can do that in health and wellness, like for me, as somebody that's so passionate about it, that's where it all came together. And I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, that's good. So with your breadth of experience from Beachbody to the Wonderful Company, Irwin Naturals, you have your hands in several different wellness products that I'm sure you've seen make a significant change in people's lives. What was it that said, like, the answer is fiber? Kind of take me along that journey where you realized that fiber was the nutrient that you realized was most efficient and one that you wanted to.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a journey. It was definitely a journey. And I describe it as a head meets heart, right? The head part was I saw like that we are having such great success on an individual basis and helping people live healthier, like especially at Beachbody, like losing a pretty good amount of weight and feeling good about themselves. And I felt like we were doing lots of good things out there, but at the same time, when you step back and you look at the state of public health, and when you look at diabetes and obesity and heart disease, they're worse than ever, right? Despite everything that we have been doing at the companies that I was a part of, despite, everything happening in advancements in healthcare and technology and, broader supplements and like it's not working. Like at the end of the day, it's not working to actually bend that curve. And then what caused me to do something about it, as an entrepreneur was, my personal story. I think I've shared with you, Austin. And it goes back to my sister, Monica, who struggled with her health throughout her adult life. She struggled with her weight, struggled with her blood sugar. She did live with diabetes, had high blood pressure as well. She lived her life full of light, right? Was hilarious, tons of personality, but, she was struggling, right? And tried every diet, medicine, shake, workout video, pill under the sun, and nothing changed her trajectory. She tragically passed away far too young during a high-risk pregnancy. And as you can imagine, it shook me to my core. Like here I am, like a health and wellness executive, right? Trying to help people live fitter, get healthier. And Monica tried everything. Like I'd send her shakes and workout videos. Nothing stuck, right? And the fact that this could happen in this day and age, it shook me right to my core. then you step back and you think about it. She is not alone in terms of the struggle, right? And everything that she dealt with. And it all came to a head when I was getting this urge, right? To do something, to literally change the game. And it was literally when I was sitting there talking to my wife about thinking of making this change at this later stage in my career, like getting off the executive train and starting something from scratch, from brand new. And I felt like there was a different way to do it. She's like, that's Monica talking to you, right? I was like, you know what, you're exactly right. And that's where it came together. And then, to fast forward, like I actually connect with my original investors group called the Production Board. Dave Freeberg, he's really well known in the space of entrepreneurship and science. That I would give him a lot of credit for connecting me and this ethos around fundamentally changing the game with truly functional science-based food. He connected me to the science of the gut and the gut microbiome, and just the fact that your gut has such an unbelievable outsized role in your health and all these things that I wanted to do something about. And there's lots of different things out there, people knowing a lot more about the gut, and we can get into it more. A lot of people focus on probiotics and so forth. I mean, I'm gonna tell you the truth about how a lot of them really aren't doing a whole lot for you. But one of the missing components really is fiber. And what's in fiber? It's prebiotics, right? It's the food for the good bugs in your gut. This what we don't get nearly enough of. Literally 5% of U.S. adults get the minimum amount of fiber in their diet every day. And that's the food. The fiber has these prebiotics, the food for the good bugs in your gut. And when you're not nourishing your gut is unhealthy, imbalanced, and that's a broken foundation for health. And that doesn't just show up in digestion, right? That shows up in mental clarity and performance and mood. It shows up in blood sugar that's out of control and insulin sensitivity. It shows up in appetite that's out of control. It shows up in so many different ways. And to me, it's like, this is the unlock, right? I mean, if we can fix and heal your gut, right, we have a pathway to actually improve public health at large. And so that's the spirit, both the science and the spirit and the ethos behind why I decided to start Supergut.
So if you've listened to any of my other content, you may know that at one point I used to be pre-diabetic. At the time, I was a broke college student living off of fast food, candy, and 5-hour energy. So it's no surprise that I was on my way to becoming diabetic. I don't exactly regret it, but if I could go back in time, I'd definitely do things a lot differently. And one of them would be to monitor my glucose using Levels. Levels is an app that uses continuous glucose monitoring to show you how food is affecting your health. That might sound complicated to some, but I promise you it is very simple. You see, your glucose is fluctuating all day, and it's primarily due to what you eat. If you can manage to improve your diet based on the feedback you're getting about your glucose levels from the app, you may notice that you'll have sustained energy, sharp memory, healthier weight, and a host of other benefits that we could all probably use more of. Here's how it works. When you sign up, you receive 2 sensors that last 14 days each. After applying the sensors to the back of your arm, you begin receiving instant feedback about how your food choices are affecting your glucose levels. It's a level of accountability that's completely changed the way I eat, which has completely changed the way that I feel on a daily basis. If you're ready to accept responsibility for your health and ready to learn more about your body, I can't speak more highly about what Levels is building and how they're helping thousands of people see how food is affecting their health. If that sounds like something you can use in your life, I've dropped an affiliate link in the description of this video. And if you sign up using that link, you'll receive an additional 2 free months on top of your annual membership. I just ask that you do one thing. Keep me posted about your experience. I'd love to hear all about how Levels is helping you improve your health. No matter how well you take care of your health, even if you're doing the many things mentioned in this episode, you're still not exempt from the fact that sometimes in life, stuff happens. We get sick, we have accidental injuries, and there's not much we can do to prepare for these moments because it's not like we know they're coming. One thing you should do in case of an unexpected injury or illness is have health insurance coverage in place. Now, if you have a career, this is likely covered by your job, but there are hundreds of thousands of people, just like me, who don't work a traditional job but still need coverage. You'd assume that it's automatically going to be more expensive and have fewer benefits, but I'm here to tell you that's not the case. Thanks to my experience with Access Benefit Consultants. They're one of the partners of this podcast, and because of them, my family has affordable coverage with benefits that are comparable to what you'd find from a company-sponsored plan. All I had to do was reach out to an agent, answer a few questions about my family size and income, and in less than an hour, I was presented with a quote and had an option to enroll. Insurance has always been boring and confusing to me, and while it still kind of is, Access took the confusion out of the process, and I'll forever be grateful. If you have questions about your health coverage, or if you don't have any at all, I think you should reach out to Access Benefit Consultants. Go to accessbenefits.com for a free quote, or you can fill out the contact form on their website, and one of their agents will be in touch with you in no time. Again, that's AXXESS benefits.com.
I love that. So you kind of mentioned probiotics a bit, and I think that there is a lot of misconception when it comes to how to improve gut health, and really just across the globe. Let's dive into the difference between prebiotic fibers and probiotics. What's the difference between the two? And why are probiotics more focused on than prebiotics?
Yeah, that's a good place to start, because most people think of gut health. The first thing you think of, for most people, is probiotics. And what probiotics are, or I'd say what they're intended to be, are adding additional live microbes, good bugs, good bacteria. You're supposed to trying to add more of them to the collection of the trillions of microbes that are already in you, right? And so the idea of a probiotic is like, let's add more of the good guys, since you want to have good bugs that are thriving and healthy in your gut to overcome the bad guys, because there's actually bad microbes that live in your gut as well. The idea, the concept behind a probiotic is, okay, well, let's just add some more. The unfortunate truth is that, most probiotics don't work. I'm just go ahead and say it. Like, literally, in terms of the store-bought, over-the-counter, shelf-stable probiotics, aren't really serving the purpose and having a meaningful impact on your health. And for sure, there's a lack of a lot of clinical evidence that adding some of those bugs, one, are they even alive? Is it the right strain? Is it the right amount? Are they surviving digestion to actually get into your gut to survive and thrive and help you live a healthier life? And the answer, unfortunately, for the vast majority of them is no.
Yeah, that's my question. It's what is happening when you ingest these probiotics to where it's not actually repopulating your gut with the good bacteria.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, when you think about the journey of a probiotic, right? First of all, it's got to be the right strain. Like, there's literally thousands and thousands of different strains. It's got to be in the right dosage, the right quantity, and it's got to be alive. Even like on the shelf throughout the shelf life of whatever product. Like, if you're trying to buy a pill or something, okay, you got to buy it. Then you got to consume it. It's got to bypass digestion. And bypassing digestion, like, your body is meant to break stuff down, right? You've got digestive enzymes and all sorts of things going at it, right? Throughout, like, your stomach, throughout the small intestine, to even get to the large intestine intact, alive. And then it's got to reside. It's got to find a home. It's like someone had likened it to, so you've got this jungle, this ecosystem, this gut microbiome, all these trillions of microbes. It's kind of like throwing a tabby cat right into the jungle. Like, how's that tabby cat gonna do? The thing is, on the other side of it, right? You asked about prebiotics, and that's obviously what we focus on. So think of prebiotics as the food for the microbes that are in your gut. There's been a lot of focus on the probiotics, not nearly enough focus on the prebiotics. You have to nourish the good bugs in your gut for them to thrive, for them to keep you healthy, for them to actually overpower and overcome the bad bugs in your gut. And where are prebiotics found? Most prebiotics are found in fibrous plant foods. So veggies, fruit, nuts, beans, legumes, right? So, good things that are generally thought of as good for you, many of them do contain fiber, and fiber contains lots of prebiotics. And so what prebiotics do when you consume them, they're very effective by definition of bypassing digestion, right? And so they, bypass your stomach, your small intestine to get into your large intestine. And that's where they're really effective at feeding the good bugs in your gut. And what we found is specific classes of these prebiotics. So if we're like going after it, like, let's find the best types that we can find, the most powerful, that are most effective at resisting digestion. They're called resistant starch, right? That is a type of prebiotic that's really powerful, feeds the good bugs, overcrowds the bad bugs, and very responsible for keeping you healthy blood sugar, appetite control, weight, mood, energy, kind of you name it.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about the journey of a prebiotic then, because the resistant starch fiber is more resistant to being broken down, which means that it's going to ferment in the large intestines. What's happening during that process, and why is it so beneficial for the human
Yeah,
body?
so it's actually it's where the magic happens, is that word, that
Mhm.
fermentation. And that basically all that means is feeding the good bugs. And what happens when you feed the good bugs? They produce these byproducts that's where the magic happens, that are really this mechanisms, this fundamental process of unleashing health throughout your body. The byproducts are generally called short chain fatty acids, so things like butyrate and acetate. Um, and these are literally the linchpins that have been found to connect to all the different systems. You want a lot of these short chain fatty acids being produced in your gut. Frankly, you want them actually, flowing throughout your bloodstream as well. And so that's what happens,
Mhm.
right? When you consume the prebiotic fiber, the byproducts is producing these short chain fatty acids, and those short chain fatty acids tap into things such as your metabolic health. So, we can also get into, how there's natural pathways that tap into things like insulin resistance and appetite control, right? These are fundamental factors that lead towards kind of healthier blood sugar versus diabetes, or healthier weight management versus, obesity. This is natural, right? It's like your body's own medicine cabinet. Like Mother Nature has got it figured out. When we just, feed your body what it's meant to be fed, it will let it do what it's meant to do. It absolutely can stay in control of your health. These mechanisms, so we can talk about it, is what a lot of these breakthrough drugs are tapping into, just in very concentrated ways. So you're hearing a lot about the Ozempics and the Wegovy's, and they're based on this hormone called GLP-1, et cetera. Guess what? That hormone is what your body naturally produces. And guess where it's produced? It's produced in your gut. And guess what makes it produce? It's like feeding good bacteria and producing these byproducts, right? So there are natural ways that you can keep your body in a metabolic in a much healthier way. And it's all tied into your gut microbiome, as opposed to, or as a complement to, right? Some of these breakthrough drugs that people are tapping into, that's essentially injecting some of these gut hormones to try to find a fast way to get that weight loss.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That is something that I'm passionate about. I think that um, j- naturally humans, we love to find
Quick
the
fix.
quickest way to solve our
Yeah,
problems,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And so if we can manufacture the gut healing benefits of fiber in a lab and put it in a
Yeah.
syringe and say, hey, do this, a lot of people are going to go that
We're
route.
seeing
But
it. Hmm.
I think, yeah, but what's so special about Supergut is you guys are also making it very easy
Yeah.
to get these prebiotics into your gut to produce the same result. I like to say that fiber is nature's appetite
Yeah.
suppressant.
That's
Um,
absolutely a good
would
way
you
to
say
put it.
that it's fair? I know there's still a lot of research being done with resistant starch and its effects on
Hmm.
GLP-1, but would you say that it's fair to compare a functional solution like Supergut to a pharmaceutical solution like the Ozempic or the Wegovy?
Yeah. So I do have to be careful in the way that we talk about it, right? Because we're a food company. And so we have to be very cautious about claiming this is food, right? And so we're not preventing, treating, or curing a disease, right? You have to speak directly into the mic when I say that. Now, that being said, like I'm gonna just talk about the science for a second, right? The mechanisms, we know how the prebiotics work, and we know specifically the mechanistic action for resistant starch. We actually studied this, not just in the existing clinical evidence, but we did our own clinical study to show both the outcomes that we can produce as well as the mechanisms, right? We did deep blood serum tests. We did fecal microbiome tests, profiling, et cetera, to see what's happening in your gut. Like, how are we producing this, amazing outcomes? And what we saw is literally the process that I just described. We saw how we are disproportionately feeding some really specific, important microbes in your gut that are responsible for producing these byproducts, these short chain fatty acids, and those short chain fatty acids, which are responsible for managing the production of these hormones like GLP-1, in your gut. And so the science mechanism, we have shown that we have a pathway through the supergut that we are regulating your body's ability to make these hormones that are responsible for your metabolic health, insulin resistance, appetite control, etc. This same GLP-1, that is the exact same hormone that Ozempic and Wegovy are based on, right, is this same gut hormone, this, it's called an incretin, that they have then taken and making a concentrated solution, right? And then they're actually intended for diabetes, like specifically, but diabetes and weight are so interlinked that I've seen they've also helped result in significant weight loss. And now it's not just people living with diabetes, obviously. Anybody, lots of people are getting their hands on this because they're finding a quick fix and solution, even whether or not they're diagnosed, even if they don't have a significant amount of weight loss, to have a fast way to get that weight loss, and are injecting themselves like off-label prescriptions, $1,000 a month, right? I mean, this is really, really expensive stuff. It is effective, right? I mean, in terms of, showing pretty rapid weight loss through appetite control. But that being said, as with any pharmaceutical, there are side effects associated with it. And a lot of the side effects are about the gut, right? It's actually dysregulating things that are happening. And so nausea and diarrhea and some of those issues that are happening, vomiting, those kind of things happen. As with many drugs, they're happening with these drugs as well. I'd say the other thing that people need to be aware of, right, that are tapping into the Ozempic, the Wegovy of the world, it's not changing your body's fundamental mechanisms. It's not changing your habit. So in other words, the second you stop taking that injection that's suppressing your appetite, if you haven't changed your habit, your lifestyle, the way that you're consuming food, your relationship, your wellness, etc., guess what happens? You revert right back to where your body is naturally inclined to go based on your habits in the first place. And so you are going to put weight back on unless you have changed your habit or unless you stay on the Ozempic and the Wegovy forever. So Mother Nature still wins at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, let's talk about how you guys are targeting helping people getting more fiber into the diet, specifically with the product. So for those listening, you're not familiar with Supergut. Many of you guys are because you guys hear their ads on our show every episode. But you guys know they have shakes, they have bars, and they have resistant starch powder. And I want to talk about the shakes for a second because one of the common criticisms of Wegovy Ozempic is that when these participants using it lose weight, they're not able to determine, well, they are able to determine how much of it is being lost from muscle mass and how much of it is fat loss. And one of the unfortunate situations is people are losing a significant amount of muscle mass along with their fat. And then the net positive may still be good because you're losing weight, helping blood sugar, but your overall metabolic health is not quite improving. And what I love so much about the shakes is that it includes 20 grams of protein as well. And so you have that the amino acids necessary to help you maintain your muscle mass, as well as feeding your gut the good bacteria. And so looking at solutions for weight loss, it seems like you guys were very intentional about helping the whole body and not just the end result.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So
when it comes down to improving your health, the most impactful changes you can make are the ones that come easy to you. The types of things that become automatic, like brushing your teeth or hopefully washing your face every day. When you're on a journey of learning how to take better care of yourself, you'll eventually try several different things and ultimately land on a few that work. Well, that's my story anyway. For example, my ability to take multivitamins consistently used to be more inconsistent than a newborn sleep schedule. I'd take them one day, maybe the next day, then I wouldn't touch them again for another few weeks. The thing is, in order for multivitamins to be most beneficial, they have to be taken consistently. And that's one of the many reasons I decided to give AG1 by Athletic Greens a try. AG1 is a powder that I mix into 10 ounces of water every single morning right before I cook breakfast. While I'm cooking, I'm sipping on something that's made with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients to help me cover my nutritional basis for the day. It's not super grainy like other products, and it actually tastes pretty good. This makes it something I look forward to drinking every day. And like I said earlier, the most impactful changes are the ones that come easy to you. I do a lot of things to maintain my health, so it's hard to point to any one product for making me feel great. But I gotta say, I recently went on a trip to Florida and I forgot my AG1 at home. Well, while I was gone, I got sick. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't have fallen ill if I had my AG1 with me, but I thought it was an interesting correlation. Anyway, drinking AG1 comes really easy to me, and it's one of the primary habits I implement to take ownership of my health. If you want to take ownership of your health, today is a good time to start. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/TCHP to take advantage of that exclusive offer. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/TCHP. Check it out.
That's exactly right. So the first thing that we did was identifying this resistant starch prebiotic fiber blend. Like we create our own blend, like it actually combines, soluble, insoluble, even viscous types of fibers. We felt like a diversified plant-based sources of prebiotics was going to be important to feed different bugs and to help different people, right? And so we created that blend. And then we tried to find convenient, accessible, and dare I say even craveable ways for people to get these prebiotics into their diet. And the first product we did that with was a shake. I'm a shake fan. I would say that might have biased us in this direction a little bit. Like I'm having my morning shake right now. But I just know it's a highly functional way to get nutrients right into your body for many people, in particular for those that are looking to manage or lose weight. And so we designed like a very clean, high quality protein shake first, right? And so it's actually 15 grams of fiber, but it's got healthy fat, 26 vitamins and minerals, etc. But it's a little bit of a Trojan horse, right, to actually get these unbelievable, powerful dosage of these prebiotic fibers into your diet. 20 grams, right, of prebiotics into your diet through this shake. And so it's a full, it's designed to be just a healthy, tasty shake, but many, like I do, use it as a meal replacement, right? Because it is very satisfying. And so you're getting your healthy dose of protein, you're getting your vitamins and minerals, but guess what? You are filling that fiber gap. Like literally with just one shake, that pretty much for the vast majority of us helps get you to at least your daily recommended amount of prebiotic fiber that you should be getting every single day. And it comes, like I said, it's very filling in the form of meal replacement. So you're getting the nutrients in, but it also helps you because it's helping manage your appetite. It's helping you avoid making bad decisions, right, with your health and with your diet. So it's a bit of a 2-for-1.
Yeah, let me tell you, man, those my favorite flavor is the strawberry. I did misspeak. So 15 grams of protein, yes. 20 grams of prebiotic fiber. I want to make sure that's clear. When I drink these shakes, and I like to mix it with a little bit of whey, just to bump that protein value up. Yeah, but man, I promise you, it's for at least a good 3 hours. I'm like,
good, right?
I'm not thinking about food. Yeah, there's no food noise in my head. And I think that's great. And it's not just with that, it's with the fiber bars as well. And I think that's my favorite Supergut product because I have a crazy sweet tooth.
You and me both.
And so after dinner or whatever, if I'm looking for a snack, it's one of the guilt-free ways I'm able to cure my sweet tooth without making a decision that I'm going to regret right after or in the morning. I have a question for you. It stems from a critical point, but I think you have a good answer for it. I'm just scrolling through Instagram and I see like some Supergut ads and I see some comments from, I guess, potential customers, and they seem disgruntled with the fact that there's sunflower oil being used. And I think there's a very important distinction that needs to be made between high oleic sunflower oil and regular sunflower oil, and I want to give you an opportunity to
talk. Absolutely. And I would say this is in this broad topic of seed oils in general, right? There's a lot of negative connotation, and I think a lot of it is for good reason. Like there's a lot of really bad, really detrimental to health seed oils out there, the canolas and so on and so forth, that are really, really bad. And so I understand that the perspective on it. But when you look for, like, from our standpoint, to create products that were, delicious and fulfilling, and to get them in a way to deliver these nutrients, but in a unbelievably tasty and convenient way, like it was impossible not to have some form of oil, right, to help, from a consistency, from deliverability standpoint. So we look for the highest quality versions that we can, and the high oleic sunflower oil actually has health benefits, like unlike your typical seed oil. So it's kind of one of those things where it does require a bit of education that not everything's the same. I actually liken it, the high oleic sunflower oil, I actually liken it to how a lot of people look at our products and will say, look at the back. Hey, I'm trying to watch my carb intake. There's a lot of carbs in this thing. And that's right. And for the most part, I understand you want to avoid highly digestible carbs, sugars, simple carbs, etc. But here's the thing. fiber is a carb. And so not all carbs are created equal. And so there's a bit of an education that comes in this game of nutrition. I understand it can be confusing, but I would lump kind of the approach from a hyaluronic sunflower oil is not like, other seed oils, just like fiber. It's not like other carbs.
Exactly. Speaking of people wanting to reduce their carb intake, I know one of the primary reasons is to control, a blood sugar response, especially after a meal.
Yeah.
One of my favorite benefits of fiber is it kind of has a twofold benefit. You get the slowed down digestion on the front end, which helps prevent blood sugar from spiking after a meal. And then you also get the benefit of it fermenting in your gut. And I think that a lot of people, we miss that, especially because when we think about fiber and blood sugar, we're thinking about preventing chronic disease, which is very important. But for some reason, I think that there's a mystique between where we are right now and the chronic disease we may have in the future. There's not a lot of connection between the two. And so when people hear the benefits of including more fiber, I think they're hearing that, it's going to help me live longer, but people are more focused on enjoying today. And I think that it's a good opportunity to highlight some of the now benefits that you receive from including more fiber into your diet. So outside of just expanding your lifespan, what are some of the health span related benefits?
No, absolutely.
Of including more fiber?
I think it's a really important topic. The one good thing I'd say in this regard, it does seem that more and more consumers are becoming more educated around something like blood sugar from a preventative standpoint, right? As opposed to just from a treatment standpoint. This isn't something you only should be thinking about once you've reached insulin, insensitivity and you're diagnosed with either prediabetes or diabetes. Blood sugar is actually in many ways the leading indicator of your metabolic health, right? And so it's important for all of us, regardless of your stage in health, to maintain healthy blood sugar, right? You don't want, excuse me, your blood sugar to be spiking. You don't want your blood sugar to be crashing. Obviously, over time, that can lead to insulin resistance. But even in the immediate now, that actually has an effect on your performance, like your well-being. So, right, when your blood sugar spikes and, that's where you're actually putting on weight. And when your blood sugar crashes, like that's a direct connection to your mental health, right? To your energy levels. And when you're feeling hangry, right, you can't go about yourself the best from a performance standpoint. And so, like, that's actually such a great indicator of being at a health, high performance standpoint is a nice, stable, steady blood sugar. And that's one of the great things about prebiotic fiber in general and Supergut specifically. It's that we're really effective at helping you maintain very stable blood sugar levels. And that's something you can feel right away. And you can measure it, right? If you're wearing a continuous glucose, you could see it right on your charts, but you can feel it right as well. Like if you're feeling, if you have stable energy levels kind of over time, if you're not hangry a half hour after having a snack, right? If you're, those are indicators that your actual blood sugar is nice and stable. And that's one of the things that we do with our prebiotic fiber focused shakes and bars and our fiber blend is help you maintain that immediate sense of energy and, productivity by helping you maintain more stable blood sugar. It also, that's also connected to appetite as well, right? I mean, when you're able to maintain that stable, you're not hungry, you're not going out and throwing bags of chips or whatever, wherever you can get your hands on.
Yeah, that's I think that's especially when I tell people like, hey, if you add more fiber to your diet, it can help with those cravings. It can help with your energy. It can help with your mood. But when people hear that, for some reason, they still feel like it's too good to be true, especially when I tell them that all you have to do is pour this stick of prebiotic fiber into whatever you're eating. I get like this like weird, like, man, you're selling wishes, you're like selling wolf tickets.
Yeah, no, for sure. But the great thing is the science is real, right? And it's not just, so with many, and I know the space really well, in the health and wellness and supplements and so forth. So much of it is based on like historical usage and have found that certain things work in certain environments or what have you. But in terms of your ability to measure or feel, it's very limited, right? A lot of the health and wellness is built around a belief system. Like, we've done the research, we've seen that this works, and so we've put a little bit in, so just trust us. This isn't like that, right? This is very fundamentally different. One, the science is fundamentally sound. And secondly, you can measure it. You can feel it. Like, there's nothing we like more than when someone's like, okay, I'm going to put you to the test. You said this stuff is going to work. I'm going to get a continuous glucose monitor. I'm going to, get XYZ. I'm going to wear an Oura ring or a Whoop band or something like that. We're going to measure it to see it. Like, yes, right? Because we know that the fundamental science is real, that this is not benefits that you can feel and that you can measure as well. And so it's absolutely true. And it really does go back to this fundamental aspect of the gut being such a foundation for overall health, that it's not just one thing, that it does impact just about every, physiological system in your body. It does sound too good to be true, but the science is really, really profound. And hold us to it. Measure. Like, we know this works.
Yeah, I mean, even anecdotally speaking, for me, adding the stick of prebiotic fiber, which for those of you guys listening, it adds zero taste to whatever you're pouring it in. It barely changes the texture. You hardly notice that you're adding more fiber into your diet. But doing so, you guys listening may know I'm a huge fan of continuous glucose monitoring. And you do see a dramatic difference in your body's ability to maintain stable glucose levels when you sneak a little bit of prebiotic fiber into your meals. But beyond anecdotal evidence, you mentioned doing a clinical trial, which is almost unheard of for any food company putting their products up to so much scrutiny through, was it double-blind, placebo-controlled? Let's talk about what you guys found in this clinical trial. What were some of the immediate results that some of the participants were seeing compared to those who did the placebo?
Yeah. I'd say first of all, it's just the context and why. Like you said, this isn't done right in our space, but this was going back to why I started this company and the ethos of wanting a business that could fundamentally change the game, right, of health. And I believe that in the science, but I believe in proof, in delivering evidence and data to show just how functional, just how effective this is. In a similar vein to, you see, the pharmaceuticals, the bio, tech business is going through. I was like, we should apply a similar rigorous standard to ourselves. And so it was always part of the plan when coming up with Supergut, is to validate through clinical evidence. And so, yeah, we did do, you hinted all the words there. The gold standard clinical trial, so randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial. And so what we did was we looked at the effect of Supergut products. In this case, we used our shakes on many different dimensions of health and overall well-being compared to a placebo shake, which had the same amount of protein, right, the same amount of calories, but it was missing our prebiotic fiber blend, right? So we knew that was a fundamental difference. We also had a third leg as well that just got like the typical dietary advice that you would get from going to, your doctor, nutritionist, what have you. And we looked at, a range of outcomes. Like, one of the primary ones was literally just a quality of life measure. Like, how confident do you feel? And in particular, we had a number of people who were struggling with their health, with their blood sugar, and where, like, with diabetes, and it just showed how significantly it improved their overall well-being and quality of life, their confidence. They didn't feel like their health was getting them down, which is so fundamental and foundational to your overall health and well-being. But we obviously wanted to look at some hard stats as well, right? And so we took labs. We measured everything from blood sugar to weight to blood pressure, etc. The nice thing, just about everything we measured moved in a positive direction. In many cases, statistically significant positive direction relative to one or both of the control groups. In particular, we knew, based on research, that we significantly could impact blood sugar control, both in the near term and then over time. We saw a significant reduction in the average blood sugar levels for those who are consuming our shakes on a consistent basis over a 3-month period. It was literally on a similar magnitude as the leading kind of oral diabetes medication, which is called metformin, which is typically like the first line of defense that somebody goes to when they have prediabetes or diabetes. We saw a similar reduction from drinking a delicious
Wow.
shake every day, right? And so
Yeah.
that's just, just to put it into context. But in addition, right? So we knew healthier blood sugar control, absolutely check. We saw people maintain healthier weight, right? Because their appetite, was under better control, made better decisions in their diet. They improved, their blood pressure. But then we also, tested a broad range of other wellness measures as well, right? Because we've been talking about this connection between your gut and your mental health and your mood and state. And we saw improvement in mood, in energy levels, in sleep quality, and then of course in digestive health as well. So less bloating, more
Right.
better regularity, less nausea, etc. And so, like I said, like all these factors, because we're tapping into that foundation of health, and when we can have someone consuming Supergut, getting prebiotics on a consistent daily basis, you're fundamentally improving your foundation, and that shows up in different ways. And so that's what we saw in our gold standard clinical study, and it's actually been published, right? And so it's gone through a peer review and publication in a leading medical journal. They don't do that for food, right? They almost everything they're talking about, the Ozempics and the Wegovy's, et cetera, but they're like, this is some really significant results that we're seeing from this food-based product, this Supergut shake.
Yeah. So with the gold standard clinical trial being complete, and you're saying it tastes delicious. It actually really does. It's funny that my 4-year-old, he actually likes using the strawberry Supergut prebiotic fiber
Love
shake.
it. Love to hear that.
So he'll like make a little milk. He put like half a scoop in for himself, and he'll bend it up. It's his favorite thing to drink, and it makes me
I
feel
love
good
that.
because, like, all right, cool, I'm helping you look
I
after your
love that.
gut. But it's hard. Like, why are we not screaming from the rooftops about this
Yeah.
product? Especially when other more pharmaceutically driven products are getting so much so much
Yeah.
attention. Like, how do we, in your expert opinion, how do we turn the tide from people using pharmaceutical interventions as their primary, resource, and shift them to thinking about a whole foods functional approach to feeling better and living longer?
It's a hard game, man, as you know, and it's understandable. Right, when you look at the history of food and big food and even supplements and better for you, etc. Unfortunately, over time, like there have been a lot of false promises, and there's a lot of confusion out there about what should I have? Is it high fat, low fat, high protein, low protein? Should I go carnivore? Should I be plant based? Should I, like it is confusing, and many times it's frankly misleading in terms of what these products are going to do for your health. So there's a high level of skepticism and confusion from so many out there about what they should be doing from a health and from a nutrition standpoint. So that's one, right? And so then I'd say secondly, it's standing out, like out of the crowd for a brand new brand such as ours that's trying to do things the right way, taking a clinical-based approach, real evidence, like true function, creating a brand that has awareness, that people are willing to give you a try, is harder and harder, right? There's so many things coming at you, both from the food nutrition space, but frankly from pharmaceuticals as well. I'm seeing, such and such lost, Elon and Kim Kardashian lost such and such weight on this drug. Let me see if I can get some of that over there, right? So it's very, very loud and noisy out there. I really think, honestly, in many ways, it is through content like this, like what you put out there, like discussions like this. Obviously, we're pretty active as well, across our socials, on our site, et cetera, to try to get the word out there, just a steady drumbeat of what it is that we're doing, that there is an alternative way, that food actually can be medicine, right? I'm just a fundamental believer, but we've got to show it. We've got to show up. We've got to prove it. And I absolutely believe that this happens over time. It's not necessarily the fastest overnight thing, but when people use our product, they get a result. And when that happens, they're more likely to feel better, and they're more likely to tell somebody else about it as well. And so it's this process that I believe is how we're going to be, how we're going to grow and have the biggest impact, is a movement. Right, is actually helping people get healthier, and that in and of itself is going to lead to more people bringing others in, because, frankly, I think it is much more legitimate, much more credible for you to hear about from someone that and trust more so than just hearing from a brand like ours. I think that's the long game. That's how we're going to continue to get the word out there. And there are others as well that are doing good work in this broader functional food and food as medicine space. But I think this is the pathway towards a sustainable, healthier population is food as medicine.
100%. And I was a believer before, but I mean, just after this conversation, I feel reinvigorated. Like I need to go, I need to be passing out Supergut sticks.
Man,
So,
yeah,
like,
man, got to get you to work.
I do. I need a table. Let me ask you one more question, Mark. So, we've talked a little bit about, I mean, privately and a little bit here about like what drives us, right? Ultimately, like everybody across the societal spectrum deserves healing. There is a soft spot in my heart for our community, the Black and brown community. Understandably so, because when you look at the rates of chronic disease and you break it down by population, we're most affected by many of them, which if you boil it down, it's many different factors that contribute to that. But how have you woven that mission? I mean, it's even on your website, on the homepage. How have you woven that into what Supergut does on a consistent basis while also making it still feel very inclusive?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked. This is really important to me. So when we think about the business, like our overall goal and ambition, as we've talked about, we want to change the game. We want to impact public health at large, like those stats that we talk about, diabetes, obesity, et cetera. We want to actually start to get them moving in a positive direction. We want to do it through functional food, through gut microbiome, prebiotic driven food. This is a broad social mission to help impact everybody. Like you said, when you look at the most chronic conditions and when you overlay populations on top of it, literally every single one of them, communities of color are disproportionately impacted. And it's not by a little bit. In many, it's like 2x, 3x. So diabetes, obesity, hypertension, just on and on down the list. Because there's just fundamental, deep-rooted, systemic differences from population to population. Unfortunately, Black and brown communities are at the bottom of the barrel. Like I honestly think that this is, the health inequity is one of the biggest social injustices of our time. And like you said, there's not just
100%.
one issue or one reason that's driven it. It's a multifaceted reasons, and I think it's a multifaceted solution to get it right. I mean, you've got unequal access to quality food and equal access to healthcare. You've got generational issues. You've got just systemic racism. You've got like all of these different factors that have for one reason or another kept communities of color on the losing end, right, from a health game. Part of my greatest joy as an entrepreneur is being able to create a company that can have such broad impact and can have a specific impact on something that's so personal, so deeply personal to me. Like I truly aspire for us to have an impact on closing some of this health disparity gap for communities of color, right, as part of our broader overall mission. And so that's woven into the company. It's part of me, as you said, it's kind of on our website. It's one of my joys to be able to be very loud and proud about this broader mission and this aspiration. And it's infused into what it is that we do. It's in the products, right, in thinking of creating products that are not only functional, but also are accessible, right, and convenient and tasty, right? I mean, folks, like I know, like both my own personal experience, my family, Monica, like our communities, like if it's just healthy, that's not good enough, because it's not going to be a habit. It's not going to be something that you stick with on a daily basis. And so that went into thinking about the product in and of itself was, let's make it not just functional. Let's actually make this product tasty, something that people can actually make a habit. I think that's going to give us a better pathway. But also as a brand, like we're very thoughtful about it as well, as you see, right? I mean, we try to be, to infuse diversity in everything that we do, not just the team, but the way that we show up and present ourselves to make it very apparent that we're a solution that's accessible for all people. And that's not done enough. Like, to get me on my high horse, when you look at the space of health and wellness, right? It's crazy that you got on the one hand communities of color are the most disproportionately affected by these chronic diseases and conditions. But then when you look on the other hand at health and wellness and supplements, and from a representation standpoint, we're the least represented, right? I mean, both from an ownership standpoint, from way brands, present themselves. And so it looks as though like this better for you health and wellness solutions aren't for us, even though our communities are the ones that need them the most. Like we should be reversing this thing, right? And so we try to be there to fill in that gap, right? This is for everybody, and in particular for communities of color. We want to help close these health disparity gaps by creating these solutions that are effective and that are accessible and that you can actually enjoy. And that's impact, right? I mean, we do something to close that health disparity gap as part of this broader mission. That's something that I would obviously take a significant amount of pride from by playing, whatever role that we can in closing that health disparity gap.
Yeah, because culture and representation do play a huge role in whether or not somebody is able to receive the information that's good for them. They have a lot of low carb recipes out there for like potato salad.
Right.
And across cultures, potato salad looks a little different.
Quite different.
If I see a low carb, high fiber recipe for potato salad, but it's got raisins and
man. We're putting some crazy stuff in some mac and cheese too.
So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, you can go find the recipes that don't quite represent our interests, or you could just sprinkle some Supergut resistant starch into it, and that might be a really good start for improving your gut health, your overall quality of life, and pushing back any chronic diseases that that may be prevalent in your family or that may be prevalent in your life eventually. Marc, do you have any final words? This has been great.
No, I think we covered a lot of ground. I'd say it's hard out there. We talked about this a little bit in terms of knowing what to do, because there's so much advice from a health and wellness standpoint. I say just keep it simple. Like you asked me at the outset what things are underrated, overrated. If there's anything that you could take away, just the importance of prebiotics and fiber in your diet. If there's one thing, just get more of them. Like obviously we try to be there, but also through your whole food diet. If there's one thing that you can take away, I would say that would be it. And that absolutely could be a fundamental game changer for your health and wellness.
I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was Marc Washington. Where can people find you to interact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best place is our site. So it's supergut.com. You can go obviously check out our products, learn more. We have a lot of content to educate people just about prebiotics and the importance of them on gut health and overall health. We're also pretty active on the socials as well. We try to be pretty engaging, but also entertaining and educational. So you can find us at Supergut across, YouTube, Twitter.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the sense of humor that I see in your guys' content. It's
part of some of that, so
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was another episode of the Culture of Health podcast. Please make sure to check out Supergut. And if you do one product, the strawberry Supergut bars are to
crazy,
die
right?
for. And this is, oh man, I'm going to go have one right now, actually. Marc, thanks so much for being on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Austin. Take care, bro.